Alright, sweet, we're live. Hello guys, it's been a while, as I say after every fucking stream starts. But yeah, so, what is this stream? Basically, eyes have just kind of become a thing that I'm really fascinated by, as you probably saw during the John Singer Sargent project. So, there's a lot about that eye that kind of bothered me, in terms of things not really being how it should be, and just not looking the way I wanted it to, and not being refined enough, to be honest. So there's some R&D stuff that I kind of want to try, and I figured, well, I've got quite a lot of kind of time, I guess, in my evenings to start working on an eye. I did want to do like a full project, but I've got other time commitments that I just don't want to commit to doing a full character right now. So yeah, we're going to build an eye. I'm going to use this as a chance to kind of really experiment. So don't expect structure, really. Like, I'm going to be building this, and as ideas come up, I'll test them. So this should be kind of for beginners, at least. It should be a little bit insightful as to like the troubleshooting process and kind of ideas, and taking a basic idea and turning it into something more. Hey dude. But yeah, so if you have any questions, by all means ask. I may not have the answers. I'll be improvising for most of this project, but I've done quite a lot of research at this point, so I'm hoping it works, but we'll find out. Worst case scenario, I'll just delete the entire series and pretend it never happened. But yeah, so I also just want to stress at the beginning that this eye setup will be probably more complicated than the last one. So even less usable, really. But that's why I want to dedicate an entire stream series just to the eye, because I want to spend some time kind of creating the controls that I lacked in the John Singer Sargent project, or at least never bothered to implement. So yeah, I'm just going to get started. We are going from the ground up, so it is going to be kind of just modeling today. I'm only going to do this for like 2-3 hours today, and then I'll do it again tomorrow, and we'll just keep going. But yeah, so I'm going to start the same way that I always start, with a sphere, which is to create a cube. And so I'm going to smooth this twice. Going to create a deformer, sculpt deform. So I haven't actually used Maya in a long time. It's been a while since I used Maya, so do forgive the kind of amateurish use. Smooth this again, and then, oh, don't mean to do that. Then deform this, sculpt. And then I'm using the sculpt deform just to make it round again. And yeah, so I'm going to duplicate that. This is going to be base sphere. Okay, and this will be cornea geo, given time. And so I'm just going to smooth base sphere again. Let's do it twice, actually. And then, yeah, so nice smooth sphere. Going to set this as a live object, which is there. Don't know why that's set as a new thing. And yeah, we'll isolate that. Cool. So basically, what I will need is for these circular edge loops here to go around the limbus. So if you don't know what a limbus is kind of this area here where you transition from cornea, which is a clear part, to the sclera, which is the white part. So I need circular edge loops all the way till there. And obviously I don't have that right now. I've got squares right at the front. So the easiest way I found to do that is, let's quickly, do I need to shrink wrap this? Let's just do that. Cool. So easiest way I found to do that is to just add some loops at the front here, like make it really front heavy, and then go in with the quad draw tool. Big brush, and then let's also turn on symmetry. Although we can rebuild the symmetry after the fact, but we'll add some symmetry. And then, yeah, back into verts, quad draw, there it is. And then just smooth that out. And because we've added so many loops in that middle section, it's going to just push all these loops forward. So eventually, as we add more and more of these, particularly at the front, it's going to just compress that entire area forward. And now, the reason we started with a cube, because I always get that question, the reason we started with a cube is because a sphere has kind of really sharp poles. So you get the triangles at the front where you got a single vert and like 30 odd edges connecting to it. And that will give you smoothing errors, like no matter what. I don't think there's a way around it. Unless you just don't tessellate the objects, but we'll ignore that. So yeah, I'll get to something like this. And now you can see how if I isolate this guy, smooth that, we don't have any kind of like sharp point at the front in the highlight. It's completely smooth. So yeah, that's why I do that. So yeah, now we have an eye. What I need to do from here is, I'll keep that guy actually. Let's just disable that guy. Why is that showing up as new? So at this point, I need to create the actual corneal bulge. So I need to get some reference in here. So let's create or use an orthographic camera. And it's kind of rotated the wrong way around, but that's fine. And I'm going to go to, see if I can remember how to do this. Image plane, import image. And then we're just going to go into ref, MRI. And then I've got an image in here, which is this guy. And then I'm just going to line that up and scale it approximately until it's like roughly what I want. Let's just scale this guy. So we need to scale that down a little bit. Oh god, okay. Come on. There we go. .8. Bit too small. I need a second camera. Okay, let's just get the pivot for this thing there. Okay, then set this back to the top camera. So off graphic top. I'm just going to hide base sphere. Looks about right. Something like that. Okay. So now I'm going to duplicate base sphere. I'm going to size that down and position it forward until it roughly matches the cornea. It's not going to be too accurate, not yet anyway. I mean, this image is quite low res, but we want this to only be visible through camera. So if we remember where any of this is. Looking through camera top, there we go. Okay, yeah, so that's not really enough, is it? Although I guess I'm not really pushing that to the black line. Something like that will do. So something we can do as well is the iris is approximately half the size of the entire sclera, so we can duplicate this guy, set this to 0.5. That will give us the size of the iris, which is a generally helpful marker. So let's just do this, 0.5. And then let's find the halfway point of this guy. So that'd be the size of the iris, which obviously is like, you know, way off, but in terms of the amount of bulge. But in theory, if we modify center pivot and then hide, as I did say, this is going to be like stream of consciousness. Let's just hold V. There we go. That's definitely not in the actual middle though, is it? Let's line this up. There we go. Somewhere along the line, I accidentally translated that way. There we go. Yeah, so we're going to go from there. So let's just go select our frontmost face and just inflate that out. There we go. Maybe a little bit more. And let's go in, change our soft select. Surface. Oh, the surface shouldn't really make much of a difference. Something like that. It feels a bit too... Let's see. Spline. Spline. There we go. I feel like I should create a blend shape. So corneal geo, no bump. I guess bulge would be a more accurate word, but let's just call this one corneal geo. I can blend shape between them then. Can you tell I haven't done anything for a while? Come on. Something like that. And we'll hide that guy too. Oh, I accidentally did the wrong way around. Fine, we'll rename that. And cornea, no bump. And then rename that. Cool. So, base sphere we can delete as well, because we have something in place. It might be a little bit high poly, but we can return to that if we need to. But yeah, so now we need to settle scale. So I'm going to group both of these guys. So the sclera, in general, in fact this whole thing is a bit squished, but the sclera in general is going to be, like I think it's 2.4 centimeters across, and with the iris being 1.2 centimeters. So all I'm going to do is create a cube, which is the way I always do things, and then that cube is going to come in at exactly 1 centimeter. So I can just grab this guy, set this to 2.4, and our sclera should fit inside this. So it's like the edges of it will like just about meet. So that's about the right size. So that's a approximately correct size. So we can probably scale this guy down now. Okay, there we go. So, not too happy with this bulge, to be honest. Let's see if we have an iris cross-section anywhere. Eye cross-section. See if we can get a better ref image to trace. One that's ideally a bit less stylized than most of the stuff online. Let's see. So get rid of no bump. pads. Sclera, scale, ref. There we go. It's a bit of a better name. Cool. Yeah, 'cause it just feels so pointy, I guess. Anyway, so we got that in place. Now let's create a basic iris. So we're just going to go in. And how many edges is this? I need to go display, heads up display. Where are you? Heads up display, play count. 32. Okay, so we got 32 edges. So I'm going to create a pipe. I guess a where is it? Cylinder will do. I'm going to give this 32 sides. 32. Radius, I'm going to give it 1.2. Oh, that's radius, so 0.6. And then we're just going to rotate that, hold J, snap. There we go. And then just going to delete these front sides. And then extrude this inwards. Hey Stash. Hey Mr. Clown. Searching for medical images, found OCT tomography of the cornea, critical cross sections. Really recommend you check it out. Okay, let me give that a quick search. OCT tomography. Ooh, these are cool. I'm not getting many cross sections though. Cross section. Cornea. I actually have one of these images saved. Let me get top, duplicate that again. Top B. I'm gonna call these top ref A. Oh, I can't. Oh, okay, so that's fine. So let's go to orthographic, top B, and then create a new background image for this guy. Where are you? Environment, image plane. And let's just go to our ref. So I think I put it under MRI because I didn't realize it had its own name. Yeah, there we go. I've got a, there we go. Can we change the depth of this guy because it's in front of everything? Where's depth? Why is depth not an option? So what's the eye setup supposed to be for? Characters. It's just for whenever I want to do characters. Not really much else to it. So that's a -10. There we go. So I'm just going to rotate that around. Come on. There we go. And let's scale that. I should probably spend some time lining that up first. Actually, it's kind of already lined up. What's the chances of that? Cool. So in that case, why is it not selectable in viewport? Okay, something like that. It's actually pretty close. It's not perfect, but it is pretty close. Really close, actually. Okay. It's still not 1-to-1. Actually, that's a good point. It's the visual size of the iris that I'm matching right now, which is actually the limbus. So I need to line the limbus up. Should be about there. No, I'm not keen on that. Yeah, so far that's a bit better. So there's the limbus starting there. Okay. So that front vert. There we go. Obviously this can be customized later, but that feels a bit more reasonable. It's still not a match, but... Okay. So we'll have to probably edit edge flow a few of these guys to really relax them back out. There we go. I feel like I got too many polygons. Let's simplify some of these a bit. Collapse edges. Edit edge flow. This is going to give me problems. There we go. Cool, that'll do for now. So, we have our iris in place. I'm already in. There we go. So, there you go. So that's the general plane of the iris, although we are going to need to do quite a lot to make this work. I'm wondering if it's worth adding the thickness to sclera first. I think it is. So let's extrude this. I'm going to extrude it inwards. And what I'm going to need to do is measure this. So this should be 0.4 millimeters. 0.5 millimeters on like the limbal area, so like just at the cornea. So let me see. So that's going to be 1 centimeter, 0.4 mil. It needs to be 0.04. Or 0.05, let's do. Did I accidentally get it just right? I think I did. This is one of the areas where my last eye was way off. Yeah, actually, that's Starling. There we go. Okay, so that's 0.04 thick, 0.05 thick. Okay. So then we need to revert the normals this guy, or invert the normals. So let's do that. Reverse. Okay. So it's all uniform right now. That will need to change. I need to find out the corneal thickness. So let's do this. Corneal thickness. The thinnest zone is 1.5 millimeters. That doesn't sound right. Oh wait, no. The average central thickness is that microns? Jesus. Corneal thickness, let me say, oh wait, that image might be helpful. It's thinner at the front. We'll do that stuff once we pass the first part of the modeling. Right, so iris is where it gets fun. So I'm going to approximately, what's the average size of the pupil? I've got to do everything on averages. Average pupil, I know it depends on lighting. Pupil width. Not pupil area width across the head. Normal pupil size varies from 2 to 4 millimeters in diameter. And bright light, in bright light, and 4 to 8 in dark. Okay, so we'll just say 0.4, or yeah, 4. So again, create, in this case I'll create a sphere actually. Play sphere, radius is going to be 0.2. Did I accidentally make it the right size again? So close. Okay, so let's just scale it in. So that's average. Okay. So that's going to be our that'll be our wrap mesh more than likely. So let's just give it some distance back here. It's going to follow the sclera a little bit. I want it to overlap a little bit, but not much. Okay, so that'll be our pupil wrap geo. And we'll give that one edge loop in the middle. So this is perfectly flat. Now, something that I've learned is the amount of like indentation or convection, I guess, as well, of the iris is normally the opposite way. So kind of a cheat that all of us CG artists do, so as I'm aware, is that we push the iris in, so like the pupil is the furthest back bit. Turns out that's not really how eyes work. Usually they're flat or forward, very, very rarely backwards from what I can find. So I'm going to bring this guy forward just a touch. And I'm going to grab that guy too. So not much, like really not much, but that will help a little bit. Okay, so there we go. So that's our basic pupil wrap. So yeah, that guy's still not moved. Good. So let's just do cornea group, eye group, and then oh wait, yeah, I called that pupil wrap, but it's actually iris. Iris wrap geo, and then iris group. Okay. So next thing to make in terms of the basics is the fluid inside the eye, which is easy enough. So for the fluid inside the eye, we're just going to duplicate this. God, how do you spell aqueous humor? Humor. Okay, I'm just going to copy paste it. My spelling is abysmal, so I just copy paste. I like search things online and then copy paste it. Aqueous humor. And so basically aqueous humor is going to be the sclera. Oh, sorry, yeah, the cornea geo. Then inflated slightly. And then just need to invert the normal to that. So deform, not deform, reverse. Okay. So if I just hide that guy, we now have the aqueous humor. So there we go. And they should overlap. Like, they do need to intersect, which they do. Off topic, but are you working for studio or freelance? I currently work for Digital Domain. Yeah. I'm a senior look dev artist there. I have been since September last year. Okay, so we have the aqueous humor. Going to throw the lens in. Do I have any Good images of the lens. Where's my PRF? There it is. They're so basic. Is the lens visible in any of these? Yes, it is. Alright, perfect. So let's go to that top. I'm gonna create another one. So top B. I'm gonna call this one top C. Okay, and then let's just set this one to orthographic, top C. Not ideal, really, the way I'm doing this, but let's go. View, image plane, import image. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we need to set the depth for this guy. Which I don't know why depth is... Oh, there it is. Negative 100. Nope, okay. 1000. What the fuck? Where is it? Let's just say negative 100. There we go. Okay, so then we're just going to throw that there. I'm just going to hide the aqueous humor as well. I feel like that's going to confuse things a bit. While I'm at it, let's turn on shading X-ray. That'll make things a little bit easier to line up. And also let us check the width, actually. Okay, so the iris is in roughly the right place. Close enough. There we go. Okay, so we need to make that shape there. So we're going to start with a smooth cube. I'm going to go that many polygons because the lens has a very secondary role in the look dev. Let's name this now. Lens Geo. Okay, grab that, throw it into the eye group. And then we're going to do our usual, which is deform this. Then do a, what is it, sculpt. Okay. So then, is this enough polygons? I mean, we will be smoothing it, but yeah, let's just do it. Okay, so when we go to the top, and I'm going to scale this mostly flat. I'm going to focus on the front first, something like that. And I'm not going to worry too much about the, I need to hide that iris. I'm not going to worry too much about matching it side to side yet, because I think that will be a waste of time. So I'm not going to match its, like, the fact that its point is off to the side, because I'm going to keep mine symmetrical for as long as I can. And then we'll go from there. So like that. Pull that back. Now we have an iris. Not an iris. Now we have a lens. Is it safe to call this eye a base mesh? Yeah. Base meshes are just any geometry that you plan on reusing, or well, not even that actually. That's the wrong thing. Base mesh is just the geometry you apply your shaders to, essentially, or like where you will start assets from. So I guess, yeah, that latter definition is probably more accurate. Wherever you will often use to like start from. And so, yeah, this eye is just going to be like the most ridiculous mesh I can build to start eyes from. Now, in terms of intentions ahead of time, the iris geometry will be simpler than the last project in in terms of geometric complexity, but not in terms of build. So there'll be less topology, there'll be less, well, planned. There'll be less like crypts and like sculpted details in the actual geometry. Because what I intend on doing this time is building the iris from 3 geometries rather than 2. So previously we did the iris epithelium, which is the back side of the iris, the really dark pigmented bit, and then I did the stroma geo. This time I want to try doing 2 stroma geometries. One that is kind of the basic, you know, the stroma as a whole, and one that's kind of a front layer that I can paint a density map for to create the crypts and the holes. And that will make it a bit more flexible in that you can just paint a map and it will produce that physical depth by having those 2 layers. If you paint out the top layer but not the back one, you're not getting holes for your iris, you're getting that kind of change of depth. I don't know quite how it will render yet, so you know, we'll find out, I guess. But yeah, so anyway, we'll duplicate this guy. So this is going to be my iris epithelium. Hi mate, good night for you. Is that you saying good night, or like I'm having a good night? If it's the latter, yeah, having a great night. Today's been pretty laid back, so it's been nice, yeah. How do you spell epithelium? Iris epithelium. Epithelium. There we go. This is going to be iris epithelium. I'm going to try to use the actual accurate names so that when I inevitably do end up selling this thing, people can use it and like Google the word. So rather than iris inner and being like, oh, what is iris inner supposed to do? You can just search iris epithelium and find out what it is in reality. And that should simplify people picking up these geometries. As much as it complicates the names, it does make it easier for people to find out what geometries are for. So yeah, we need to... This is going to be the front of the iris, but we actually need the back of this thing. So iris epithelium. I'm going to put this close-ish to the lens. Because the thing to remember is that the stroma sits within this. It's kind of like a cage in a way. So let's just isolate this guy. Okay, and then one of the new features of this geometry will be the scleral spur, because I've learned a little bit more to how things should be structured. So it's going to be a bit of a nightmare, to be honest, but shading, X-ray. It's going to give all these a blend material as well. Okay. Let's do 0.18. Then let's display soften edge. I'm going to need to create a different shader for these guys. But yeah, so we'll be doing the scleral spur, which is basically, I think I have it in here somewhere. Yeah, so this is one of those images that the guy mentioned earlier, the OCT tomography. Is it tomography or tomography? But yeah, so the scleral spur is basically, it's something that a shader won't be able to do really. So I'm going to have to figure out some trickery for this. But basically what we're looking at here, let me increase the size of this guy. So we have the cornea at the front, simple enough. We have the iris, pupil, and then we have the limbus here. So the limbus is, again, it's where the cells go from being transmissive to solid, because the sclera and the cornea are like continuous. Like there's no break in the cell structure, it just changes. So I think it's to do with the like how lined up the cells are. Don't quote me on that though. But the limbus is basically that transition. Now you can kind of see the cells changing here, and so the scleral spur is this bit where the limbus on the inside, super thin, gets thicker towards the back. And the iris kind of does this. So I need to get this bit in the geometry, which is easy enough. Getting this to shade correctly is where it gets difficult, because in look dev we only have control over the surface. We don't really have control of the interior in terms of, like, I can make this area that I'm highlighting now, I can make this foggy, but I can't give it, like, the fog is like falling off the same way that this is. I think that makes sense, I'm not sure. So this, essentially, the thickness of this just has to be the kind of the fall off of the mask that I use for transmission. So it's a little bit of fakery there that I don't think we can avoid. But yeah, so I want to get the iris kind of coming back and doing this and connecting where the limbus ends, essentially. So let's just put that over here. And we'll get the epithelium edge. And I just want to do something like that. And then I guess we can bevel that. Unless you do a VDB, yeah, fuck that. But it is something I legit considered. I was thinking at one point, it's like, hey, if I did this in, like, I mean, I wouldn't do it in Bifrost, but if I did this in Houdini, I know the theory of it. I'm not gonna sit here and even try to claim that I know how to do something like that in Houdini, but I know that you could. But that's not on the agenda for me. I want this to be a usable mesh. Like, it's complex for shading, sure, but it's going to be usable. So let's just get this guy here. Fly that out. Okay, and then since it's the epithelium, we also need it to roll up at the front. So this is the epithelium. I need to find out how thick this is as well. In fact, yeah, how thick is the thickness? How thick is the iris epithelium? It's 1 cell thick. Okay, but like how thickness in millimeters? Let's see if I can find. .75 millimeters is the thickness of the iris. And that's the entire iris. So let's create a cube. This is in the centimeters. 0.75 is going to be 0.075. That's like the thickest the iris can be. So let's just get the epithelium there. So that's the total thickness of the iris at its thickest point, which is about here, approximately. Jesus, that's a chunky boy. Okay, well, let's do something like that. And then extrude. In fact, actually not yet, because I need to bring this extrude. We're doing this bit right here. Okay. So multi-cut, multi-cut. Bevel that guy. Add a segment. Okay. Is that what I want? I would ask, is this how you decided to design your meshes for previous eyes? Did you do an extremely simple from extremely simple reference before looking at medical. Yeah, I mean, this eye isn't something I just do. Like, the thing to remember is I've been doing CG for almost 12 years. If I was just starting out, I wouldn't even be looking at medical imagery yet. Like, I'd be pretty much entirely just winging it. Like, I don't think there's any harm in saying that. I need to relax these. Where is it? Convert to verts, maybe. Relax verts. The wrong way. There we go. But yeah, so this is like basically the result of me already knowing how to do CG. So if I was just starting out, I wouldn't be using medical imagery or anything like that. Hi, are you showing how to do an eye? That's crazy. Yeah, we're going to slowly work through something. It's not going to be great for a while, but we shall see how it turns out over time. But yeah, so let's get that angle. Then I'm going to bevel that. Okay. Maybe a little bit sharp, but we can always fix that later. Yeah, so let's just extrude all this. I'm going to extrude it inwards because I don't want to change the thickness at the front. I'm going to remove... Let's turn off this X-ray shading. I'm going to remove some of these. And add edge flow. Okay, let's do... I always go to deform. Mesh display, reverse. Okay. So then we're going to need to create this guy again. Well, not create, but duplicate. And this will be stroma layer 1. So iris. What's going to be the name of this one? Posterior? Stroma base, I'll rename it later. So let's just do this. Simple enough. And then we want to isolate just these two. Okay. To pull back something like that. I mean, really, this should fit. Let's delete that actually. Come on, there we go. I'm gonna duplicate this guy instead. I have no idea how much of this I'll end up deleting. Just going to put that out there now. Okay. You're going to ZBrush or Stroma again. Looking forward to seeing shading part. So there's going to be a lot less ZBrush involved this time. Like a lot less, actually. Just because I want to try a more heavy-handed volume approach. And it wouldn't play very nice if I like do too much sculpting. So let's do that. Really happy to bump into your stream doing scientifically-ish correct eye. Yeah, I'm not going to go all the way, fuck that. It will get a little bit more accurate as time goes on, but I mean, tonight's just a block out. Like, the model's going to be simple. and just kind of getting everything in place so I can work on it later. Yeah, so iris epithelium. So let's do iris, stroma, base, geo. Okay. Then extrude this guy. Edge. Okay. Push that in. Okay, and then we're going to want to flay these out a fair bit, including this guy actually. Okay, so that's the base of the stroma. Then we create another layer. So we're going to duplicate this guy. Stroma. Call it top for now. I need to figure out how I'm going to name these, because these aren't technically separate structures. Technically one of them's the pupillary zone, and the other one is... I forgot the name of it. But I guess they do have like distinct names, like by appearance, but we'll figure that out. Okay, so I'm just going to extrude this guy, bumping him out. Okay, we're going to isolate these three, and then the edge flow. So the key thing here is that it's finished. Well, the iris is finished where it attaches to the scleral spur. So we need to make sure we get that in there. So we're going to do shading, X-ray again. So we need to pull this guy back. And that allows us to get the scleral spur in there. Shading. So we can actually get that in there. Now it should blend a bit more neatly, I feel. So we're going to need to do some pretty fun stuff in this area. It's going to be a nightmare, isn't it? Either way, let's get some of these guys bumped out a little. Okay. So this entire structure will be wrap deformed to this guy, so that I can just move the entire iris in and out. That would be kind of the way you animate it. And I think I figured out a way to do textures that animate on the stroma as well. But it does involve linking a distortion to a rig control, so that as the pupil gets wider, it distorts the projections out. Getting that to line up all the time is going to be a fucking nightmare, but that's why I do these things. But yeah, so that's kind of everything. We can start blocking out like an extremely simple shader just to kind of see if things work. So I need to start doing UVs. We will be needing to do groom as well, since groom is still important to this, but it's not as important. I also feel like my base is too... Let's grab all this. Neighbour's hammering something through the wall. Right, so got that there. Oh, actually, we want that. Cool, and then this guy. We want that as well. I need to make a selection set out of these faces. Okay, so let's just check. Yeah, both of these attached. Cool. Really loving all this sound. Right, okay, so create, set. Name this iris, stroma, layer, connect. Layer connection. That'll do. Apply. There we go. Oh, is there not a way to keep that selection? Has to be, right? No, fuck, okay. I want to move all this forward, actually. So it's going to nudge this that way. And then I can't select through this thing, I don't think, so. And then that top is also pretty close, so. I could probably make like a 3-layer wrap mesh to automate this for me. But that involves having like wrap deformers at this stage, and I think that's a misstep. But yeah, so we're just going to move this forward. Something like that works. Basically, this thickness that I'm doing now defines how thick that top layer is, like how deep the holes would be. So yeah, actually I will need a wrap deformer for that eventually, so that the end user has control of it. I know this is like a really boring process, but it's what I'm going through. So it's what you guys, if you choose to watch, have to see. There we go. So we can probably do a quick test tonight to see how holes in this top layer will look. So I guess we'll probably need quite a lot of tweaking. Oh shit. Okay, let's head to edge flow. I need to do the same for the inside, aren't I? No, apparently not. Okay. Let's get some bevels in this guy. Actually. Let's cut along that. Okay. Okay, it's 1 in Germany. I'll rewatch later when I do my work. Looking forward to learn something here, Mike. Good night, Mike. Good night, dude. It's only been a few days since I tried to tried to see how to create a very realistic eye. It's amazing. Yeah, eyes are a lot of fun. But I mean, as you can probably tell, they're kind of my obsession. My goal is to one day be known as the eye guy. Granted, there's so many better artists than me for this stuff, but I'm hoping that I'm just crazy enough to be the one that no one wants to one-up. That's the dream. Okay, so let's just grab every geometry. Then go to Mesh Display, Set to Face, Soften Edge. Okay. Cool. So let's modify free transformations on the group as well. Cool. So I guess we should start doing some extremely basic shaders. This eye is for VFX. I mean, it's for my own projects, but it'll be for realistic projects if that's what you're asking. Okay, so let's start with some UVs. I'll save. There we go. Then panel, UV editor, where you at? There we go. Gonna save this and close for now. Okay, we're just going to do front projection for absolutely everything. So mapping, planar Z. I don't need to worry about proportions yet. Okay, so let's do some pretty simple UVs. We're going to cut along the middle, both inside and outside. Cut. Then just unfold that. Okay, so these are both the inside faces. No, they're both the inside faces. Okay, so that's the front. So these need to be roughly equal in size, but the inside really doesn't have to be. So let's lay out these two. Layout. We want to align Y to V. Unfold, preserve 3D ratios is fine. And I want to gonna add 2 pixels at 1K of padding. There we go. I don't like how it lays them out by default though. You can get so much more out of them by doing that. Okay. And then these guys will scale, but we'll keep their proportion to each other. And we're just going to fit those in. This is just like the texturing UVs, so this isn't going to be doing anything too silly. But that will be our first UV set, which we're going to... Do I want to do the Yeah, I do. Okay. Copy UVs into the UV set. I'm just going to call this texture UVs. Okay, and then we need to create a new UV set for ramps. So copy new UVs. So copy UVs into the UV set. Ramp UVs. Ramp UVs is almost entirely for me to be able to do ramps that are centered. So I'm going to unfold these two. Let's see. Unfold. Okay. These two are for the back, so they can be scaled down and moved off to the side. So basically what we want to do now is... Where's my toolbox at? You... There we go. You're not going to dock? No? Okay, cool. So transform this guy. 0.5. 0.5. Scale it up to make as much use of the space as I can. And this guy, we're going to lay out on its own. There we go. And then I found with my last project that if I scale this guy like that, I'll get a bit of a nicer result with the ramp. So let's just move these guys into the corners. There we go. So basically what scaling the inside faces down does is... How will I explain this? Basically moves the ramp further back. So if we look at... Oh, I closed it, didn't I? Let me get PureRef back up. PureRef. This is mostly to fight CG issues, really, but if we look at this from the front view, I know that this spur kind of complicates the whole thing, but from the front view, we can see how like it starts to get thicker, kind of vertically in line with where the limbus starts at the front. And so if we scale up the UVs, it basically makes it so this kind of goes that way, like it travels back. It's not really how it is in life, but I found because we don't have the same controls of a volume that reality does, doing this allows me to kind of get rid of some artifacts that we get. I think it's so difficult to get perfect. There's room so many ways to make it look good, but making it is really, really good. It's so subtle. I'm not entirely sure what that was in reference to, but yeah, it's a lot of fun to do this stuff. Okay, so then we get this guy, aqueous humor. So aqueous humor, it's just a fluid. So we'll still cut it in half, but we really, really don't need to. So let's cut that. UV shell. Unfold. Didn't mean to... Nope, fuck off. Layout. And actually I'm going to check my unfold settings. I'll do 50 iterations. There we go. Then layout UVs. Packing iterations I'll also do 50. There we go. Oh. Okay, a bit of OCD here, but I'm going to line those two up. Cut. Even so. Layout. Okay, we're going to copy into new UV set. In fact, that'll do. So copy into new UV set. We're going to call that texture UVs. Although we really don't need to. I'll probably delete that later to save some data. Scale ref doesn't need anything. Iris, that's the wrap geo, so this is good enough, honestly. This guy will need some unwrapping. So how medically accurate is this going to be? Don't know really. I think it's going to be more accurate than my last project, but I mean it's not going to be one-to-one. You can't really do that with current tech. But I'm going to try to make it accurate. I'll do my best. May not be good enough, but we shall see. Okay, so we got that. We're just going to cut. I will cut the back. Cut. And then I'll cut about here as well. Since all this wraps around. One of the things I did consider for a while is one of the things I did consider for a while is creating a separate geometry for the pupillary rough. Not technically accurate, but it would save me quite a lot of render resources, just because I don't need to subdivide it as much. I know this is mainly for fun. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm doing this because I can. This isn't going to be helpful for most people in terms of like the amount of time it'll take to set this up isn't going to give the results that just a really nicely textured eye will give. But I just want to learn some shit, so I'm just going to learn some shit. Okay, the two stromas I'll UV together. So let's cut these edges. Oh, we need to multi-cut. Multi-cut. Then a dash for this guy. I'm gonna scale it up slightly. There we go. So let's get both of these guys. Cut there. Cut. I'll cut there for this one. Okay. Let's cut here. Cut here. Okay. So, go to shell mode. Unfold. Layout. Okay, so we want the front face. Okay, that's a good question. Do we want the middle faces that are touching each other to displace the same way all the time? I don't think we do. Because otherwise we can't create separation. In fact, yeah, that's bullshit. Let's just see. That's the back. Let's just have some kind of logic to this. Stroma base. Okay, so that's front of stroma base, that's back of stroma base. And so that's back of stroma front and front. Okay. That'll do then. I hate that it does that. Just gonna scale these down slightly. Okay, so the front of both of these are at the bottom. Do you know how you'll go about creating the red eye effects if you wanted to do it in the render itself? I've already done that. So let me show you. My last eye did that. So let me just go to my last project. Do I have a breakdown image of that? Yeah, there we go. So my last project where I got really into eye rendering was John Singer Sargent, which I did a breakdown with Outgang like a year ago now. And it does the red eye effect. There you go. It's not quite accurate. Like, it's not really a correct red eye effect, but it's a red eye effect. It works. So, yeah, I mean, the process I'm going through with this eye will do the exact same. Because for the most part, this was built pretty much how I'm going to do it now, just less attention to detail. And the iris stroma was heavily sculpted. The iris stroma looked like that, like the actual geometry. So this time, like, I'm going to have displacement still, but you're not going to have this like top layer and bottom layer in the same geometry. They're going to be different. So my intention is to basically, like, you can paint a map that creates holes in the top layer, and that way the bottom layer always has these structures, like it's always there. And so when we're seeing through on, like, you know, more pale eye colors, you might get a better hint of this stuff. But it does mean my displacement workflow is going to be a bit more complex, so I'm going to have to set up a template that just handles it all for you, which means lots of remaps and clamps and shit like that to make it so that whatever you give it, it will give you something predictable. So yeah, we got iris-stroma, isopropylium, wrap geometry doesn't need shit. Lens, I mean, same thing as the fluid, I guess. But let's just do that. So cut, and then unfold, and then not you, layout. I hate that it does that so much. Okay, scale it up. Okay, so for the most part, we have our geometry. I'm getting some pinching here. It's just a little bit of pinching, yeah, fuck, okay. How am I going to get rid of that? I need to relax these and float them back out, I think. So let's convert to verts. Nope, average. Then inflate back out. In theory, the inflation should be the same everywhere. That should work. Oh, worse. Okay. I'm going to need to set up a geometry later, I think. Okay, so we have a basic pass. We need to start doing some basic shaders. And then I can start to look into, like, how much I want to change the geometry. Because I'm not really going to know what's working, what's not, until I've built the shaders. So yeah, we'll get started on that. Let's create a Arnold light, Skydome light, attribute editor. File. And then look the environment, HDRs. Could use my usual light. Could use a studio. Yeah, let's use the studio. Probably worth noting, I'm using AGX for this project. I've gone ahead and just preset it up. I mean, it's easy enough. So I've got a OCIO config for AGX because I wanted to give it a try. And so I just need to see if I can remember. Imagery, AGX space, it's definitely not that. Color space is linear. I guess it is. Utilities, curves. Yeah, so it's linear. There we go. But yeah, so let's just go ahead and assign a basic material to everything. So assign new material. I'm going to go with a... I could use Rombo, but I'm not going to for the eye just because I intend on selling this at some point. And if I use Rombo, then you'll have to use Rombo, and I obviously won't sell as many if I force you guys to buy a plugin, even if that plugin is fantastic. So let's do a standard surface. And then that standard surface will do a lot of the weight for me now. So let's go into Arnold, subdivisions. I'm going to add 2 subdivisions for the cornea. Aqueous humor is going to have 1 subdivision, doesn't need as many. Can you do this eye process work for real time? Probably not. I don't really do real time. It's something that at some point I'll look into doing more like real time stuff, but for this project I'm gonna keep it in old. Iris wrap geometry needs to be hidden. Okay, so let's create a new standard surface. We'll call this one corneal matte. And then this one, it's a new material. Aqueous humor. Matte. Lens. It's a new material. Surface. Okay. For now, these will keep their base materials. So let's create a new camera. Okay. So let's do render cam A. Nice and innovative for the naming. Let's do an 85mm lens, because that's my favorite. There it is. Okay. And then, let's see. I'm going to preemptively connect up a ramp for this guy. I've never heard of Rumbo. I'm taking a look at it. It seems really interesting. What's your take on it? I haven't really used it fully on a project, so I can't give a great estimation yet. I had a few issues doing an eye with it. Just the way that layering works and blending between subsurface materials and refraction. It didn't really play the way that I'd personally like. So I can't really comment on how good Rumbo is, just because I haven't used it on an actual asset yet. By the way, what do you think? What do you think that would be a big challenge if someone is trying to make this work in real time? Just volume rendering in general, really. I mean, it depends on how you define real time. Like, if you need it to be optimized for actual use in games, then most of it, because doing actual refraction is kind of a nightmare. But you can do real time refraction if you're just doing a demo scene. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, to be honest. Right, okay, let's do that. Okay. So, display, I'll do Ajax Punchy. Free. Thanks for content answered. No worries, man. So if my answers aren't too helpful, it's just real time just isn't really my area. It's something I'll learn at some point. But yeah, it's just not something I do right now. Okay, so let's do transmission. In fact, we don't want transmission yet, we want subsurface. So let's do 0.8. Wait. And actually, while I'm at it, this aqueous humor. I need to save UI threads. There we go. Yeah, I need to put it in its own SSS set, don't I? Aqueous humor. We need this guy to be transmissive. Pretty much 100%. I'll say 0.99. In fact, no. For now, for optimization's sake, we'll just do 100%. Somewhere in here, I have this. That's not the image I'm looking for. Little cheat sheet. So 0.33, 0.37, and 0.33. Okay, and 4.2 for the lens. So, IOR, where are you? There you are. Oh yeah, it's in the specular. So let's do, it's water, so 335. And then the cornea mat, we need to do 4.2. Or is it? No, it's 3.7. Okay. And then the lens, we're going to whack transmission all the way up as well. And we're going to put 4.2 in this guy. That was what that said, right? Yeah, okay, cool. We're going to hide the iris for now. Okay. Some of the cornea material. There we go. So the radius I'm going to change to be about here. And a more V2. And then I'm going to set that to 0.1. Let's see. I may need to temporarily hide the light. God, it's dying. Let's change my let's see, system. So the thread limit doesn't work the way it used to, which really pisses me off a lot. I need to see if I can find it though. Old renderer. Where was it? I thought it was in system. There we go. So I'm going to set that to -8. That will make it a bit more responsive UI wise. And then just going to create a area light. Okay. Then set this to a disk. Okay, I need to change my ray depth as well. Transmission doesn't need that much depth yet. In fact, actually, maybe. Let's do 3 on those two and set this to 12. Okay, 5. Okay, so we need a ramp. Yeah, ramp texture. In fact, should I use an Arnold ramp? Just create a ramp. Ramp float. Do a circular ramp on ramp UVs and plug that into transmission. Plug into extra depth for now. No, never mind. Come on. Transmission. Okay. Okay. So show the iris. And then I'm going to keep that as a linear ramp. So ramp, circle, linear. Because I prefer to use range nodes to control everything else. Okay, so input min is going to be 0.5, let's say. 0.9. No. 0.8. Let's say 0.81. Oh, I've still got the, where is it? There's a cube in here somewhere. There it is. What is that? Okay. So that is far too desaturated. Also, this is for a long time people were always asking me like, oh, how do you get this caustic thing on the side? It's not caustics, but like, oh, how do you get this thing? It's like it's just the geometry. There's no special treatment shader-wise to get that kind of fall off over there. It's literally just how your geometry is built. Okay, so group. I'm gonna put this there. Move you there. In fact, actually, let's see. Actually, keep this at 0. Keep you at 0. And then back you up to like -1. No, not -1. 1. 2. Okay. Then we're going to use this group. Hey Brandon, will your stream be available to see again tomorrow? Yeah, absolutely. All the streams are going to stay on, and I'll be streaming tomorrow again as well. So yeah, don't be afraid of heading off if it's late. Okay, so let's go. What's going to be the best way to do this? Let's try lower scale. Okay, that's too low. We're not going to worry about this side glowing too much because honestly most of this will go away when we actually put the eye in an eye socket. Let's go 6. We will need a bit of anisotropy. Try to remember which way around it should go. I need a bit more of the shader in place before I worry too much about that. So I was already feeling realistic. Oh, just you wait, son. Like, we're way off yet. Okay, I'm going to change this to perspective camera. Oh, it's already set to. There we go. So let's just figure out where that line is. Yeah, it's too far forward. So let's do 79 and 7901. 791 even. That's about right. Maybe a little bit too large. Add a sphere in there and set that to 0.6 radius. It's almost dead on actually. Oh, that's really close. 795. 796. I'm just trying to line this up so that the limbus starts in the right place. Looks about right to me. Okay, so now we get the blend. Like how much do we want this to bleed out, basically? Because currently it's really sharp and we don't want that. For this I'm going to go back to the area light. And basically we just change this value. I'm going to go 8.1 for now. And we change this until it's like the softness that we want, basically. Because as I increase this, if I go like all the way to like 0.9, it just blends out more. Now, the final look is going to come from a few other places, so I am going to let's go 8.2. I'm going to overshoot it, but then I'm going to gamma it back down. So let's go. Oh, I should explain why I'm going to do the gamma thing. Okay, so let's get PureF back up. So I mentioned briefly earlier that it always loads up in the perfect place. So I mentioned briefly earlier that in CG we have one fundamental limitation. Well, not in CG, but in the way that I'm building this out is one fundamental limitation, which is I can't create the limbus the way it physically is. It's a change of cell structure. Now, I can change the transmission of the two surfaces, of the two like polygon shells, but I can't change the thickness of that polygon shell and how that thickness blends into the kind of the overall volume of it. And so what I have to do is create a gradient. Now that gradient, if you look at this, imagine like when I have a value of 0 transmission, that's this bit. Technically not 0. But when I have a value of 0 transmission, that's this bit, where there is just sclera. And this bit is 1 transmission. I need to create this fall off. And so, as you can see, that's not like a point and then 2 straight lines. It's curved. That curve is the gamma that I need to create to get the same actual fall off. Now, I'm not sure on how well this goes, so I'm going to move this. But as I move this gamma forward and backwards, it's going to get sharper again, but with a longer fall off. So I need this to gamma backwards so that it's like starts solid and then very quickly becomes transmissive. So if I go all the way to the back here, you see how we get a sharp line and this long tail afterwards. So I'm going to start with 875. And that, to me, should create a curve like this. So then once we've got that curve in place, which feels a little bit too tight for me, but once we've got that curve in place, we can still control the start and end points using this guy. It's a nice system, I think. So the total area is still too large, so I'm going to slowly baby step this guy back. But we're getting a nicer fall off now. Let's go 825. The number is arbitrary. I don't know if there's a way to physically translate this. I guess I could calculate the volume of sclera to the volume of cornea for like each cross section, but no, just no. But yeah, so put this back on my other screen. We have an eye. And look, your red eye effect. It's already there. Now, I've got too many reflections because I haven't done the shaders for the fluids yet. But you see how the inside is glowing white? That's the red eye effect. The red eye effect is just when you're seeing the back of the retina through the front. That only happens at specific light angles. Basically, whenever your camera or your viewing point and your light are coming from the same direction. Because any mismatch in those directions, the light is going through the pupil, so it's only lighting a very small part of the retina. So you need to be looking at that very small point, which you can only really do if you're at the same position the light is, or in the same kind of angle, I guess. If I change my camera to the side, red effect gone. The reason it's not red is because I've not textured this thing yet. The retina is mostly red-ish, more amber. Although some documents say it's like nearly black, which, sure, I guess. But yeah, anyway, so we have this guy. I'm gonna set this to 1. Okay, let's set this to 0. Freeze transformations. Ooh, no. I need to freeze transformations on the group. Okay. I don't need to freeze transforms on the group. But yeah, so we're just going to step this guy a bit further back. Yeah, so that's working for the most part. So we should probably set the dielectric priority now. So, well, let's actually throw some basic shaders on the stromas. I'm not going to do the volume shading yet. It's too early for that. So let's just throw a basic diffusion SSS on this guy. A little bit diffuse, but really not much. And then we need to turn off reflection. Specular is like near 0 on this guy. If you want to cheat it, you can. Like add some specular, it will give you a more metallic kind of like ping, which can look really cool. In fact, it's something I do for animated eyes fairly frequently. But, well, I say fairly frequently. I haven't worked in animation for a while. Oh god, what's the IOR collagen? I guess 4.2. But yeah, anyway, what was I saying? I need to do the epithelium. So let's do another standard surface. Oh wait, you. Really deep saturated brown. Oh, that's transmission, fuck. Subsurface. If you're wondering why I'm using diffusion, it's just generally better at doing things that feel voluminous. Something that actually is probably worth addressing for any beginners or students or, I guess, fresh juniors. Things like reflection, like GGX is not better, it's more complex. and subsurface, random walk is not better. It's just a different algorithm. Like a lot of these different settings are there for a reason. Not everything's a straight upgrade, because I know that a lot of people, including myself, when I'm feeling lazy, will just whack things to the last setting in the queue, which is random walk v2 and GGX reflections. But it's not really how things are. So if you're struggling to get like the specular response or subsurface response that you expect, try changing the algorithm, and it might do what you need. So let's do 0.01. Then pick the same color for you. And I need to go back to my corneal material. There we go. The subsurface is way too saturated. Kind of works better. You can also see the pupil in the subsurface, which I always find fascinating. That's the pupil of the hole. Oh, the hole with pupil, even. Which actually, perfect way to show the red eye effect. Sets to 0. So that bit where light is reaching the back of the eye, if we go there, look, it's illuminated. That's how the red eye effect works. It's just light going all the way through to the back, and then for me to see this through the front, I have to go, look, like, it's there, roughly. It's now in front of me. It's cool stuff. That's the thing, like, if you build things the way they are, you will get the responses that, like, people are like, oh, how do you do that? It's like, just build it the way it is, and it will typically do what you need. It's one of those things as well, it's like a common question, sometimes not even a question, sometimes, like, something I say to students is like, they're like, oh, how do you get the scale of everything in your scene right? It's like, have you been to IKEA's website and, like, checked, like, what is the size of a table? And it just tells you in centimeters what it is, and then you do that in CG. If you just build things the way they are in life, you don't even have to worry about half the shit. It's cool stuff. Let's try diffusion. Diffusion might need a higher scale. Yeah, so in this case, random walk is going to be what we need. We're not getting that hit. Let's try random walk 1. Oh, Jesus. Let's try random walk v2. Yeah, v2 is getting us a much nicer, like, tighter thing going on over here. If I set that to 0.6 again, which is what I found earlier. Although I do feel like I need a bit more. Let's say 8. Gonna increase or decrease the amount of diffuse as well. Works well enough. Okay, so we're getting this here, which is caused by the geometry blocking. Let's set U to 0. So I need to take a quick look at those reflections. So let's go to the fluid. Where is dielectric priority? Is it in the material? Yeah, it is. Okay. So dielectric priority. What is it? How does it work? Let me pause the render. So the way that I've finally understood how dielectric priority works, the setting, like, to me at first felt arbitrary. It's like just numbers and what those numbers actually mean. The higher the number, the higher the priority, as you would expect, sure. But what that translates to is anything with a lower priority does not exist within the thing with a higher priority. So if you've got bubbles inside a liquid, then increasing the priority of the bubbles, which have an IOR of 1, or close to the IOR of air, it basically just cuts a hole through whatever fluid they're in. So to put that in perspective for this guy, we have our cornea here, and we have the fluid intersecting with it. So we want the cornea to have priority over the fluid. So I'm going to set this to a priority of 2. Then the fluid shouldn't exist within that cornea, so I'm going to give that priority 1, it's a lower priority. And then the fluid also shouldn't exist inside of the lens. Now I'm still not sure if this should be set to 3 or 2. To be safe, I'm going to set it to 3. I don't think that will make a visual difference, but this should change. Ooh. Oh yeah, my camera. Let's set it to 2, see what happens. Yeah, no visual difference. Set that to 1. I'm going to select the aqueous humor. I want to disable reflections on this guy. Which, yeah. Go to the lens. If I disable reflections on him, there we go. So the speck back here is the specular from the inside of the sclera, which I kind of want to kill off, although I'll need to use a map to do that. We could use ramp UVs because it is set up. Yeah, I'll use ramp UVs. So let's just graph the cornea on its own. Okay. So let's have a look at ramp UVs and see what it's doing. UVs, UV editor. So is this set to ramp UVs? It is. Cool. So we basically need a ramp that just kind of cuts out these corner sections. Oh wait, no, the inside. This is why we build shaders before everything else. So outside, yep. Inside, okay. Outside. So we need to split this left-right, really. Inside front, inside back, outside front. Let's say 0.25 on these guys. Or 0.5 on this guy. And 0.25 on these. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure it's in between all these. Then I guess we can give this more room now. I need to create a new UV set because it's very wasteful on UV space. But either way, now we can do outside by a ramp left to right. So if I create a ramp, ramp float, ramp, ISO, cornea, outer. So I want this to be white on the left side, and I want this to be at, not that, position to be 0.499, and this to be 0.501. Although I could probably just set this to 0. There we go. So So set that to 5. And then U. Cool. And then my spec is set to a value of 1, but I'm going to build this correctly from the start. So let's do a layer RGBA. A layer flow is probably better. Ah. Alright, cool, thanks. Layer float. Okay. I'm going to do spec. Spec weight. I think spec gain is probably a better word. Spec gain. Outer. And then we're gonna rename this to inner. Flip the values. Plug that into mix 2. Spec gain inner. What we'll find when I connect this guy, we're gonna alt save. Connect this guy to specular. We no longer have that inside reflection. If I just turn that layer off, or set it to 1, you can see how we get that reflection there. Oh, I need to set it to 1. Wait, what? Ooh, interesting. Okay. So let's set that to 0, 1. So there's still some spec, but it's incredibly loose. I'm going to create a clamp. Arnold clamp. A habit that I have is to always end every chain of nodes with a clamp. So I'll call this clamp out. In fact, no, let's get rid of out. Out spec gain corneal. And that just means that I can limit the values. So let's do this. And that just limits it 0 to 1. I always like to end nodes like that. Okay, so layer spec gain corneal. Clamp out. Let's do transmission weight corneal. Okay. And then we'll do a roughness, I guess. Although we don't really need to. Air range. Range. Let's see. Cornea mask. ISO cornea. There we go. Okay. You're going to remove the spec gain from the inside. There we go. But I should replace this with a color. Layer, RGBA. Yeah, I prefer that. Let's replace that. I know it's going to mess with the name, but that's fine. So spec gain outer. Spec gain inner. There we go. So naming those UVs is going to be kind of fun. What's the lens? I need to figure out how the spec for that will work. I need to, for that to not be invisible to camera too. Okay. So hide you, show you. No, it's visible to camera. Okay. Oh, yeah, I need to figure out the subsurface. Okay, so which geometry is that exactly? It's the epithelium, right? It is. I want this to only consider itself. Create set SSS set cornea. Do we need to add the epithelium to it? I need to actually blend, don't I? Okay. Okay. So we need a ramp for this guy as well. Ramp UV, I mean. So UV editor, UV sets. Let's do ramp UVs. UV shell. 0.5. 0.5. Same for you. 0.5. 0.5. Okay, there we go. Let's get that name again. Okay, so we need another Arnold ramp. No. Ramp. Ramp float. Circle ramp. Ramp UVs. Then we're going to plug this into opacity. There we go. So let's hide all the other geometries. That's the lens, is it not? Yeah, okay. So invert this guy. Probably let's get this guy. Okay, now I need a range. Let's say 125. 0.5. It's a bit bright. How does this bias work? Hey Screams, how's it going, man? Why is this bias not working? Try making a new ramp. Edit, duplicate, route network. Okay, that's the problem. Okay, so let's go 0.6, 0.5. Okay, we're getting there. There we go, okay. So that's just a lip, that's fine. I guess we need to find that lip, don't we? Let's go 4, 5. There we go. I don't like that the bias... Oh, okay. So that's how it works. Oh, I hate that. Okay. So we need to do the bias as a separate operation and clamp before it. Because this min and max... There should be a clamp between these points. but I can't do that. So in this case, it actually matters. Okay, so keep bias at 0.5, then going to clamp, then bias it. Haven't used Arnold in depth for a while. This should be more predictable. If only. There we go. We get an actual fall off that we want now. Granted, I don't think we really need that level of control. So let's just delete this guy. Clamp that. And then show the other geometries again. Okay. So we need to babysit this back. Let's go 5.5. So that's a 0.5. Yeah, there we go. That works. Just gets rid of that shadow. Still there, but it's more subtle. Okay. That's gonna bug me. Wonder if combining the meshes would avoid that. But then that would involve actually like sewing the meshes together. I'm not sure I can be bothered doing that. Let's change to my old bathroom. There we go. Okay, so now we've got all that stuff set up. Cornea. That's fine. Advanced. There you are. Okay, so Caustic is on. So we need to do the aqueous humor. Make sure Caustic is on for you. You. Let's just let this clean up for a moment. In fact, let's change to the actual render cam. So let's disable caustics for both. I'm gonna A/B all these. I don't want internal reflections on this cornea. But I don't want internal reflections on any of these, do I? I don't think so. I guess I do, but internal reflections need to be muted a bit. I'm not sure I have that control without doing some, like, what's the word for it? Sampler info. Okay, so view, store snapshot. Okay, so then we're going to add caustics to the cornea. Let this clean. I'll stay on for another half an hour or so, and then I'll move on. End my night, and I'll be streaming again tomorrow, same time. And we'll take a look at the build of the geometry. Well, actually, I'll take a look at the UV naming, and we'll probably do a first pass building the stroma, although I kind of am tempted to do that now. Yeah, store snapshot. Okay, then add caustic aqueous humor. No caustics. Caustics. more caustics. So much brighter. It's interesting how no caustics has a different subsurface effect. That's fascinating. And then caustics on both is super bright. Okay. I'm going to get that corneal geometry. Go to this guy, so that's set to 0.5, okay. I'm just going to do the same for the stromas. How much brighter is it when caustics are enabled on both? Okay, so it is quite a lot brighter. So we'll have to factor that in when we're building our textures. Although technically we're not going to be building any textures, but still. At least for the iris. And I guess we are. Let's see. I'm going to darken this guy. So it's the -1. It's 2 samples too. And then is there... I can't remember the controls for this stuff. I might be thinking of V-Ray, but it's like a caustic sample thing on lights. Max bounces, I hate how high that is by default. Let's do 50. I'm not sure if that makes any visual difference. I don't see any, other than a brightness change, which is by choice. Okay, so let's do -2. It's going to be interesting seeing how all this plays out. Oh, I need to change the subsurface color as well. Yeah, okay. 0.5. Okay, that's more what I expected. So I wasn't just being dumb with... Oh, shit. I wasn't just being dumb. Yeah, okay, there we go. That's more the behavior I expect. I was just like, it's the strongest caustics I've ever seen in my life. Jesus, there's a lot of you. There we go, that feels better. Let's get that nice softness that we wanted. Yeah, as I've said so many times, like a lot of the effects people struggle to get are just because they've not built the angles of the cornea correctly. Like, there's no fancy shading happening here. It just works, and not in the Bethesda way. So something I'm very curious about. It's not worth doing yet, although I kind of want to anyway. I'm going to set this to pen light group. Okay, so we're going to duplicate that. And we're going to call this one split lamp. Split lamp group. And this one's going to contain another area light, but this one's going to be set to quad. And apparently that breaks it. There we go. Okay, so 6. So this one's going to have like 0 spread, or close to. Why does this keep happening? Update full scene. Okay, I'm just going to delete that. Let's create a new light. Area light. Okay. Thanks, Mike, for sharing your knowledge. No worries. Okay, so let's spread. Would it be better for me to just build a geometry in front of this? Let's scale this down. Wait, why is it double-sided? Okay. What? Okay. So anyway, let's put a plane up. In fact, I'll start with a cube. Cube's just easier. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so these seem to be further apart. Interesting. I think it'd be a lot simpler if I just delete that. Move you way closer. I'm still very interested as to why it's doing what it's doing. Are you going to sculpt the iris in part 2? No. I'm not going to be really sculpting the iris in this setup. It's going to be hard to explain, but yeah, just have patience and you'll see what I mean. Why is this such a nightmare? Okay. Let's do... So this is called the split lamp exam. And it looks like this. So what I need to do is get this reflection right. Which to me feels like a kind of fogginess. Mine's way too bright. I'll give it that. Kind of helpful though, because you can see the color of the SSS. Mine's way too bright, so let's lower the brightness. So the brightness even more. It's super focused, so it's going to be really bright. Let's set that to 1. There we go. Okay, so it needs to be brighter than that. Let's say 1.5 exposure. And so I'm wondering how much of that, if I set this to 0. Okay, no, it's still dispersing. Oh, is that the subsurface on the iris itself? I think it is. Let's select the iris stroma. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay. It's a really good way to calibrate your subsurface. So the amount of bleed that I get out of this. Oh, the scales are negative. That's why I was acting weird earlier. Okay. Needs to be even more narrow. There we go. So I need to desaturate this a little bit, don't I? Say 1. No, it's too desaturated. 1.5. It's a bit more yellow as well. Let's go 3.8. Okay. So I need to get this cornea. Need to reduce the There's already 0 spread, huh? It's just gonna have to be really tiny. I shouldn't have normalize enabled really. But yeah, on something like this I shouldn't have normalize enabled. So I'm essentially doing a barn door. Such a cool effect. Okay, set it back to 0. So, that's a cornea. I need to change this. Clamp. Let's do out isocornea. Okay, and then we'll do another remap. Remap. Oh wait, no. Range. Yeah, range. So the amount of transmission we want, let's see, 0.9. We get that line in. So if I have transmission set all the way to 1, this line right here vanishes. So that's, for me, proof that we need some kind of scattering there. Granted, I could do it with scattering rather than transmission weight, which might be more accurate. Let's go 0.98. But that still gets the line. It's quite a nice effect too. But this is stuff that I didn't know existed. So this is why like looking at eye exams and stuff is really helpful. And it's going to be much the same for the lens. Although the lens we can just do with, let me see. The lens does this. So we need the same thing in that. So if I go to the lens and just set the exact same shit, so we'll go to transmission and go 0.99. We get that same line. Super bright because the color is 0.5 on. There you go. So cool. Okay, so I'm gonna try doing it with scatter instead though. So let's set range. So you back to 1. So that line vanishes. But then in the transmission, we add just a touch of scatter. That gives us the exact same effect. If I'm going to scatter all light, 0.1, let's see, yeah, there we go. So this is essentially corneal cloudiness. So that's a 1. Set it to 6, or 5 even. That's going to give us a much nicer effect, I feel. So yeah, we'll do that. So let's do range. Transmission weight. Cornea. No, it's not doing anything right now, but I'm going to keep that there for future control. So let's just do another clamp. Plug you in. Then we're going to call this one out. Transmission weight. I need to pick how I'm capitalizing these because I keep changing it. Alright, so back to the lens. We're going to set transmission back there, but then add that scatter. Oh, that gives a better effect. That gets a sharp line. Scatter. It gives us the same shit. So this then, we have this sharp line and this kind of softer line behind it. So I'm going to make the assumption, if I set this to 1, but then decrease this. Now let's scatter all wavelengths and then adjust that. Okay, so hypothesis time. We get something like that, which we're going to set super soft, okay, and then we change this 0.98. Oh, we're getting the backside as well. Oh, but we are. There's a second line there. So let's do 9. That's good, and there's this double line thing. And you'd only see this with a split lamp. If I put a normal light in there, it looks normal. Ref is king. Okay, so I feel like I need to add this blue tint. Although, is that the light? I think that might be the light. Let's just do a very slight color temperature on this guy. Oh yeah, it's the wrong way around. Okay, so we need to set the strength of this guy. I mean, that is kind of... I need to find out what bulbs they use for these things. I feel like we should do the same diffuse thing on this as well then. Because we get, yeah, we are getting a double line. There's a little gap in the middle here. Okay, so we do need this. Set output max to 0.995. Nine. The lens is letting more through, I feel. Which makes sense, it's the fucking lens. Although it doesn't make much sense, actually. Huh. Okay, let's do the height of this guy. 0.5. 0.7. Just to get a little bit close to our ref. I'll give us a better idea as to what the fall off should be doing. Light's too warm. Not too cool. 6500 is white, so let's do 7200. Feel like I need this to be way brighter. So let's go back to our cornea. I do it with transmission weight. That feels like it might be alright though. Let's do 98. This essentially is what percentage of light transmits. 100% means no diffuse because all the light is going through. And 0.98 is 98%, which feels low. What percentage of light gets through the cornea? Oh god, it's all going to be broken down to different wavelengths, isn't it? In the range of 600 nanometers to 1000 nanometers, percentage transmission was between 95 and 98%. Corneal transmission for donors younger than, and then blah blah blah. Okay, so 98 is actually about correct. Let's go a little bit lower. Let's go 97. I feel then our scattering should probably be changed. Let's increase. What if I say it's like 100? So cool. So it's like 2. I'm not going to fuck about advanced entropy because that feels like it'll be getting too complicated then. And frankly, I won't probably see the difference. I'm going to increase the amount of diffuse in the sclera. How many potatoes were used to make this eye setup? Rahul, no. I have not a clue what you're up to, mate. Also, have you finished all the Ferrero Rochers yet? Okay, so I'm going to increase the brightness of the main light. I want to see how this reacts. Yeah, it becomes more subtle. Okay, this is actually what I'd expect to see. I've learned a little bit more about how the sclera works, or how the cornea works. Honestly, this is fascinating stuff. Alright, the lens isn't doing enough, I feel. Like, it's not as bright as the cornea as expected, but it feels too dim overall. Okay. Control H. There we go. We are getting that double line though. But yeah, it needs to be a bit more diffused. Which I guess means more everything actually. Lens. Okay. How much light gets through the lens? Of eye. I'm imagining it's like 99%. Yeah, I'm getting less results for the lens itself, so I may have to eyeball this one. Not intentional. Let's go with 98. That's too bright now though. Like comparatively. That's such a cool effect though. I'm so happy I found out about these split lamp experiments. This is like perfect ref. Nice. Come on. There we go. Let's darken this down. I'm gonna have to head off soon. Got a gym early in the morning. Like way too early. Okay, I feel like we've made a huge amount of progress though on this. What's my roughness doing actually? Let's check. Corneal mat. We have 0 roughness. Okay, let's say 2. That's 3.5 maybe. Nah, that's too high. We will need a clear coat as well for the tier film. That's getting pretty close. There's a second... See, I think our light is just too simplistic. It's also got a bit of bleeding on it. This is a lot sharper though. Like considerably sharper. And I think our light is already set to 0. Like actually 0 spread. Because if I widen the spread it becomes useless. Resolution. What if we bump this up? Either way, I'm pretty happy with that. That turned out a lot better than I expected. I think this lens is still... we're getting too much. Are we getting too much from the surface or the scatter though? I think we're not getting enough from the scatter really. What I need to do is sample the brightness between this and this. And whatever the difference is what I need to recreate in this area. Let's go with 11. That feels about right to me. And that light's not blue enough. Temperature. Let's do 70, 600. I'm wondering how much color does the lens have as well. I'm gonna throw an extremely basic color on the stroma. Yeah, we'll leave that. A bit simplistic. Definitely return to that later. Oh, we're using diffusion as well, that won't help. In this case. Can I even make this light thinner? We're already at a silly amount. Like, I need to change the... Where is it? There's a way to change the precision of the channel editor. Change precision. There we go. I'll set this to 5. And this allows me to add more zeros. That's still... Yeah, I'm wondering if I've just hit a hard limit as to what it can sample. Either way, we have an eye. And we can do working experiments. Is the distance the issue? This is to 1. But move it closer. Two by 5. Oh yeah, we're getting sharper now. Okay, so it's a distance issue. It's weird, because if you've got 0 spread, it shouldn't make any difference. It's basically orthographic. We're getting that edge. Alright, for fuck's sake. Okay, let's move it. I think that distance has to be alright, right? We just need to reduce the brightness of the damn thing. Let's go back to 9. Where's our brightness at? Oh shit, wait, we're getting that line. Okay, so the light was too far back. We need to get the line here too. See, is this our cornea being too thick, or is this the angle of this thing being too much? Let's select this guy. No, it's not the angle, because our cornea is too thick. That's so interesting, though. Okay, so we need to make the cornea thinner. Oh, God. Can I change the scatter fall off as well? Will that help? This one looks more correct though. It does look like it's a bit too thick. Which actually, yeah, it probably is, because I set the thickness of the entire cornea by the what's the word? I set the thickness of the entire cornea by the limbus, which isn't the way it is. It needs to be thicker at the back, thinner at the side, and I imagine the cornea is thinner still. I'm gonna start going mad. Yeah, okay. So I'm not going to keep this stream going because I will, as you're probably noticing, stay on here forever. So that'll be it for this stream. We've figured out the basic geometry and this split lamp stuff. I'm going to let this refine for a while, see how it comes out. But yeah, what was the word I was going to use? Yeah, we need to change the thickness of the cornea to get that split lamp response correct. And we probably need to try doing a basic pass of the thickness of the iris and also the convexity of the iris. Because currently ours is like pretty much perfectly flat, and it should be angled slightly forward. So that's tomorrow's problem. I'm gonna bump up the samples of this bad boy. I'm also gonna give it a bit more depth to play with. Oh, volume indirect. I don't know how many samples it needs for scatter. I don't know how that gets sampled. I'll have to read up on that. But yeah, so let's do that. And yeah, I'll end the stream here. I'll return tomorrow, same time as today. We'll start figuring out the thickness of the cornea and the stroma setup, because again, right now it's quite simplistic. Well, it is just a flat mesh, basically. So we'll get that fixed. But yeah, definitely getting there. Definitely looking forward to how this project will go. And yeah, I guess thank you for stopping by. There's more of you than I expected. And yeah, same time again tomorrow. Probably the same time on Friday. Not sure yet. And yeah, we'll see where it goes from there. But yeah, thank you very much. And I'll hopefully see you all again tomorrow. Cool. Bye.